Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to make my comments on this report. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have taken time to read the report. I've also taken time to read the submissions of the contractors, and I've also taken time to look at the content of this report. And with the way this report has been drafted, I fully do not support it. I don't support it for the following reasons. I'm going to restrict my 5 minutes to simply one company called Belco and Angelica. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reason why I want to restrict myself is because of the issues that, when you read this report, it contradicts itself entirely. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are told by the committee that the tender required that any company that applies for the tender must be the original manufacturer of the equipment. Mr. Speaker, sir, in this report we are told that 3 companies presented themselves. 1 company refused to present itself. Mr. Speaker, sir, what we are not told in this report is that the procurement laws allows agents to act on behalf of original manufacturers. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are told that 1 company called Belco did not give, or the power of attorney given to Angelica came in after the tender was awarded. But in the submissions, Mr. Speaker, sir, and also the documents which are supplied, there is a letter dated 25th November 2014, that was before the contract was awarded, that identified Angelica as the sole agent for Belco. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are also told that the committee was presented with a power of attorney that was signed after the contract had been awarded. But what we are not told is that this letter that was written to the Ministry of Health and addressed to the PS was sent way before to show the relationship between the 2 companies.
What's your point of order, Senator Wambua?
The Speaker, is it in order for Senator Olekina to mislead this House that there are letters that were written by Angelica to the Ministry of Health on the issue of the power of attorney, which letters, yes, but those letters were not made available to the committee? How was the committee supposed to know that the letters were written? Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the position of the committee, and it's on record, is that the people invited for the contract were original manufacturers of medical equipment. Angelica is not. And the only exception was, if you are going to be invited to bid, they had to present a letter of attorney from the original manufacturers of equipment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, sir, my good friend, Senator Wambua.
Yes, what's your point of order, Senator Orengo? There's another point of order.
Mr. Speaker, since you had said we have got very limited time, 5 minutes, and I'm just rising on the foot of the Honorable Senator for Kitui. You know, he was a member of the committee, and probably what he knows is a lot more than we know, but we have only the report to go by, so that if there are any factual contradictions, the mover can, when replying, react to them. But if every time somebody says something, you stand up and say it is wrong, when the whole evidence is not here, they should have carried the books here, then we would be able, so.
Okay, Senator.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I appreciate that, but I just wanted to clarify one thing. There's nowhere in my submission that I said that the company called Angelica wrote to the committee. What I said is that there are letters which were written by a company called Belco, stating clearly that Angelica was their sole agent in this country. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are also told in this report that the equipments which were supplied by Belco were locked to only use reagents and consumables from Belco. Mr. Speaker, sir, I took my time and I called a few companies because it is written in this report. Mr. Speaker, sir, I can go to the page which is written. In this report, the report contradicts itself. It says that the equipments which were supplied by one company were locked. It's almost like Safaricom selling their own phones and only allowing their SIM cards to be used. Mr. Speaker, sir, I took my time and I called a few companies. This afternoon, I spoke to a company called Medifast Africa Limited, just to try and get this point clearly, to find out whether the equipment which was supplied by a company called Belco were open or they were locked to only their consumables. I spoke to a lady by the name of Caro, and Caro confirmed to me that the equipments which, or rather Formula 2000, which is the equipment used, point of order what? Mr. Speaker, sir, you know when you are given time to come in and submit, when you are given time to come in and debate, you don't just come and talk. You read the report and you read the submissions.
Senator Nderitu, what is your point of intervention? Order. There's a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I was just concerned whether we are dealing with a report or because somebody called Caro in an institution, we didn't know who Caro is, whether it's true or not. I don't know why we are discussing Caro and maybe her age.
I think what Senator Nderitu is the authenticity of what you are saying. You know, you can pick any Caro and mention it on the floor of the House. Senator Olekina, be a bit careful. Okay, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in fact, because of the limited time, let me just be very categorical. You know, there was a lawyer by the name of Johnny Cochran who represented an entertainment guru called OJ Symptoms. Johnny Cochran. And he said, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. Mr. Speaker, sir, even someone from class 7 can read this report. It is full of contradictions. I will not support a report which is full of contradictions. And Mr. Speaker, sir, because my time is limited, what I may want to request in support of what my dear friend and colleague, Senator Mtula, said, is that this report be committed to a committee of the whole. We look at the submissions, we compare apples to apples, because when you read the submissions, they do not add up. If you read the recommendations, they have not been observed in the submissions given by either the Ministry of Health, either the contractors. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would have been happy if I would have seen a recommendation made by the committee that said that those who were in the tender committee should be prosecuted or should be investigated so that they can be able to tell us why is it that you allowed one company, which is an original manufacturer, to bid and win the tender, and on the other hand, you allow another company, which is not an original manufacturer, to be able to bid and win the contract. Yet, the prerequisite for the tender was that you must be the original manufacturer of this equipment. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to invite my colleagues to take their time and read that report. I've read that report the entire weekend. This is the reason why I was seeking for more time, and it is full of contradictions. We have spent over $43 million on this medical equipment scheme. Mr. Speaker, sir, in one page it says they are raising issues of the cost of buying equipment. It is a leased equipment service. Those equipments go back to the manufacturers and we proceed. be coming here and saying that the price of a torch is 1 million.
Okay.
Yet it is leased.
Okay, Senator.
Mr. Speaker, sir, this report is bogus.